And as I was mentioning about South America, I just came across an article information. You were talking about the local law enforcement. Well, there's an agency set up by the United States government, funded by the U.S. government. U.S. taxpayers funding this. And since from the period of 2000 right up to 2005, 34 times the amount has been increased. And what they're doing is that they're doing the International Law Enforcement Academy in El Salvador, and they have satellites that are happening over in Peru. And Hakeem, could I have you quickly comment on what you saw when you were down there in reference to the mining and basically Barrick Gold and other law enforcements, how they're acting towards the people?
Well, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, it's pretty much like she was saying. There is not just private companies providing security to the different places where this mining is happening, but it's about the armies of the countries, the national armies. They got nothing to do in there. They shouldn't be guarding this kind of places, but you can find them in there really often. You find out police, national police, you find the army taking care of it just because some people in the government has a few actions or bonus or whatever they get from the companies. And the problem is that they just try to make people, the communities, feel the fear of being shot, being killed, and it's really tough. It's really tough when you go there and you see how they do whatever they want with whoever, a community leader. They just want them to stop bringing all this junk into their communities. People is getting sick. Babies are being born with health problems. And whoever does this kind of things and gets organized to oppose them, they just make them disappear. They get shot. And then they say, it's been gangs related or a robbery or something like that.
Like a modern day death squad is what you're talking about.
Yeah, pretty much. Death squads is something that has been happening in, El Salvador and Central America constantly. Seems 20 years ago or more. It's never been taken apart by all these peace treaties that they signed to stop conflicts, armed conflicts. So they have a white card. They have a license to do whatever they want, pretty much.
Well, that's pretty amazing. And the next question I have for you, Sakura, is down in Nevada, the Barrick Gold has now opened a gigantic mining facility down there. I noticed that there was a lawsuit against them. A brief history about this mine that I've been told about. Apparently, Bush Sr. had given Barrick Gold this mine for next to nothing, a song and a dance. And Bush Sr. later, after his got out of his administration done, he ended up being employed by Barrick Gold. Do you feel that Bush Sr. or possibly GW or anyone within the Bush administration that just got out of power, do you feel that they might have played a part in basically causing Barrick Gold to win this case, which they shouldn't have won?
Well, I'm not sure if they played a direct hand, but definitely the fact that the mining corporations have a lot of politicians in their pocket does a lot to not reform very, very old prospecting laws that should be reformed in the U.S. And I know it's very much the same thing with Canada in terms of the need to reform these very old mining laws that are from, the colonial settler periods that were meant to encourage prospecting and settling further west. But yes, most definitely, even the Bureau of Land Management, even they were saying that it was the quote-unquote biggest gold heist since the days of Butch Cassidy, giving away $10 billion worth of gold for $10,000 to definitely a buddy of the Bush administration. Clinton's a huge fan of the mining corporations too, though, so I just don't want to single out George Bush Sr., even though he was the chairman of the senior advisor of the advisory board for Barrick Gold. And of course, Mulroney as well. He's on the board of directors of Barrick Gold. Gustavo Cisneros, a huge media mogul in Venezuela, who is partly one of the people, or one of his media channels were in part behind the coup to oust Hugo Chavez. So Barrick definitely has, its hands all over the place with also extremely powerful people in the political arena, one of which is George Bush Sr.
And also, an article was put out by the Green Party, and the title of the article, Are Peter Munk and Brian Mulroney Running Canada? Did you have a chance to take a look at that? And also, what do you think about Mr. Munk advising Harper on the latest federal budget coming out of Canada?
Yes, I did get a chance to read that, and I think it's very troubling, the amount of lobbying power that Barrick has. I've heard from my allies within the Canadian Network for Corporate Accountability that Barrick Gold is one of the main corporations that's lobbying against any mandatory laws regulating foreign, corporations, Canadian corporations acting abroad. So of course I find this very troubling. What I maybe find more troubling is that just in December, Peter Munk got the Order of Canada, which is Canada's highest civilian honor. So, we can all discuss it and kind of take it as a given that these companies are doing evil work, they're doing it for gold, they're trampling on the rights of, local landowners, indigenous people, they're trampling on human rights, they're, getting in these shady situations with security. There's uprising against them, for example, in Tanzania. So we can all agree that this is bad stuff that they're doing, but they're honored in Canada. So the chairman and founder of this company gets the Order of Canada, Canada's highest civilian honor. If you go to Toronto, you see Peter Munk's name all over the place. There's the Peter Munk Cardiac Center. There's the Munk Center for International Studies at the University of Toronto. He's very, very much honored in Toronto and the rest of Canada as a philanthropist. And of course, where does he get all that money from? He gets it from, all of his shady dealings in destroying the environment and, disrespecting human rights in other countries and in Canada and in the United States as well.
Well, we also have to remember about the Canadian history and how the First Nations people have had their land not only taken from them, they've had the resources on it exploited. They've had the mining rights, the trees have been raped from the land and everything. That involves there's churches involved with that, the Canadian federal government involved with that, the residential schools. The list goes on and on. What has shown the history of Canada is shown that there's been no respect towards the First Nations people who under the Indian Act are considered pieces of property owned by the federal government, which in itself is a violation of human rights. And what I'd like to say is, how can a federal government call themselves they represent human rights when they're owner of people? So that basically they're modern day slave owners is what they are. And if they basically get rid of the Indian Act and treat the First Nations as equal citizens, then I will say that they actually recognize human rights, but they're not willing to do that at this time. We only have a couple minutes left. I was wondering if you could quickly leave the listening audience with some contact information and your website and any last thoughts that you may have.
Yes. Well, my website is protestbarrick.net. My contact information is on there. I'm at sakura.saunders@gmail.com. Anyone that wants to get involved in the movement against, Canadian mining corporations, just to hold them accountable, for legal reform, for holding Barrick Gold accountable, for holding Goldcorp accountable, which is headquartered in Vancouver there. Please, please, please get in touch with me. I can put you in touch with other local activists. We're planning a huge convergence around the shareholders meeting this May, where we're bringing a lot of community leaders from affected communities to come speak their mind at Barrick shareholder meetings. And we'd love a lot of support just to attract attention to their presence at these meetings. We brought them last year, and not one news outlet even reported on their presence. We got later news reports when we took them to Ottawa, but it was really pathetic, the media blackout in this country, especially around issues pertaining to Barrick Gold. So I just urge people to get involved. 60% of the world's mining corporations are located within Canada, or at least registered within Canada. So this is very much a Canadian issue, and please get in contact with me to see how you can get involved further. That's all I have to say.
Well, thank you very much for coming on today, Sakura. And that was Sakura Saunders. This is Co-op Radio 102.7 FM, CFRO, Monday Brown Bagger. The date is February 9th, 2009. My name is Reginald Angus Argue. Until I come back in 3 weeks' time, I say to the listening audience, have a great day.